Celtic fans view this morning. I hope it finds you well. It's nice and sunny here. It's around about, I think it's already sitting around about 25 degrees. It's going to be another hot one today for me personally. I hope the weather's fantastic where you are. Today's video, we're going to talk about the St Johnstone game this weekend. We're going to talk about the potential team lineup because I think that Brendan Rodgers will ring the changes from the team that started the game at the weekend. We all know that. But we'll also have one eye on the Champions League. You'll have one eye on the Champions League game that we play next week, and it is a fantastic game, and I am still gutted that I'm not going. It's the only one I wanted to go to, but we do go away. We do go away tonight, tomorrow. So yeah, we're away for a few days, but it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm sure that everyone that is going, and I know there's a fantastic amount of Celtic fans heading over to Germany for the game, and the majority of the ones I know got their tickets, which is all good. Jealous? Not much. Of course I am. Of course I am. And they'll have an absolutely fantastic time. Now, before we talk about the St Johnstone Celtic game this weekend, just done it. Before we talk about the St Johnstone Celtic game this weekend, I want to talk about a player that was linked with Celtic in the summer. Michael Ange. Yeah, remember him in the summer from Belgium. Young 23-year-old player. Celtic wanted to sign him. Celtic were in talks to sign him. Brendan Rodgers spoke to the player, and then he gets injured. And if you remember back to the transfer window, if you remember back to when Brendan Rodgers was in America with the team, and he was speaking about the players that he wanted in. And if you remember, at that time, he said he wanted in two strikers, and we only brought in the one striker in Adam Ida. You remember he wanted to bring in two strikers because our third choice striker had left the club. That's right, Rocco Vata was going to be our third choice striker. He left the club. Now, there's been noise coming out of Royal Antwerp that Celtic could potentially come back in for the player in January. He did go down with an injury at a really awkward time. Celtic and Rennes were the two clubs that were in negotiations with the player. And the CEO of the club has said that Celtic were looking to come back in and resume talks in January. So it'll be interesting. And he does operate on the left-hand side of the pitch, and he is a fantastic player. He scored a cracking amount of goals. He's in the same sort of bracket, I would say, as Arne Engels. If Celtic can get him, will Celtic go and bring him in January? That's the big question. And do Celtic need to go out and strengthen in the striker department? Because let's face it, Kyogo's not going to be with Celtic forever. I mean, if we get another year out of Kyogo, if we get a big bid coming in, Manchester City were sniffing about Kyogo at the last transfer window. Kyogo has just changed. He has just changed his agent, remember, just before the end of the last transfer window. He changed his agent to the same agent, the CAA group, the same agent that Ange had. And it's probably time that if he is going to move, Celtic will want to try and get as much money for him as possible. He did sign that new contract last year, and you just got the funny feeling that has his head... I'm not going to say that his head's been turned. He still wants to do fantastically well for Celtic. He still wants to do well in the Champions League. And I think Kyogo will start this weekend. And he'll want to go out and prove the doubters wrong, and he'll go out and score a couple of goals early on against St Johnstone. But do we need to bring in another striker? Because we only have Adam Ida and Kyogo. If anything happens to one of either of them, it does leave us short in the strikers department. So will Celtic go back for Michael Ange from Royal Antwerp in January? It's been suggested that they may. Adam Ida being the only player that came in. Everyone was expecting us to go out and get another striker. We didn't. Brendan Rodgers said he didn't expect... When it got to the closer end of the transfer window, Brendan Rodgers did say that he didn't expect to go out and get another striker. Is that because they know that they want their man and he knows the player that he wants? And Brendan Rodgers has been that laser focused. Brendan has been that laser focused on the type of player he wants, even the player that he wants. And will he go back for that player in January? That's a big question that's been suggested coming to Belgium, saying that he might. Anyway, let's jump into the comments section to see who is all on this morning. Yeah, it was some night last night. Let's not talk about it. Didn't happen. If you can't remember it, it didn't happen. Morning Pot Shops Express. Stuart Ramsey's in the house. Stuart Ramsey, Kieran is in the house. Stuart Ramsey is in. Joseph Davison's in. James Clark is in. Lorna Gallagher is in. I'm not hungover, but someone else might be. Yeah, I had quite a few shandies last night, and then we went back out. I went back out, got a taxi back out to pick up the missus, and then we stayed out. And yeah, it was a good night. It was a good night. Had by and it's just the beginning of the celebration. There was a weekend, so there we go. Kieran's in the house. Evan Sean's in the house. I hate it when we get his value rise rather than buy him in the window when it was open. Evan Shawnee got injured in the last transfer window, so that's why we didn't go for him. There was no use buying an injured player, and that's why, I mean, by all accounts, Brendan Rodgers spoke to the player. Brendan Rodgers did speak to the player, and then he gets injured. There's nothing you can do about that, and there's nothing you can do. And we weren't in a position to go out and buy a player that was going to be injured, because we needed to hit the ground running with every player that came into the club, pretty much. Are you alright down there? Oi. I'm on live on YouTube, you know. Doug's here, a total play with me mode. So yeah, that's why it didn't happen at the last window, and it'll be interesting if Brendan knows. And maybe that's why because Brendan did say, if you remember, he said he can't see us going for another striker at this point in the window, when we were all expecting, and that was with about a week to go. Sure, that was about a week. It was about a week to go in the transfer window. After we got Adam Ida in, there was still about a week to go, and he said that he didn't expect us to go for another striker. Is that because he knows the player that he wants? I'm just putting that out there. Big Rab Bean is in the house. Hail Baz. Well done, the Celtic women. Absolutely fantastic by the Celtic women last night. And some of the goals, I tell you one thing, I hope the men's team was watching. I hope Lewis Palmer was watching for one, because the wingers for the Celtic women team were way better than Louis Palmer. Louis Palmer, who I think will get dropped to the bench again for the game this weekend, but we'll talk about that, because he'll still get brought on in the second half, because I think there'll be a lot of changes in the second half of the game this weekend. Kaiser is in the house. You missed a cracker last night, Kaiser, if you weren't on. Can't remember. That is gone. Also, yeah, I know. And Lorna Gallagher, Port Shop Express, Mr. Quinn is in the house. Kieran, I'm just jumping through. Paul McCune is going fishing today. Mad Mac is in the house. Paul Emery's in the house also. Anthony, more than all, got the full team out against. Put the full team out against Saints, go 3-0 and get all the subs on. Keeper players free for injury. That's what I think will happen. Great headers, Baz, says Mr. Quinn. I think Ida's going to have a massive season. I think Adam Ida will have a massive season. But Adam Ida started the last game against Falkirk. I think he will be dropped to the bench for the starting 11, and I think he will drop to the bench for the starting 11. This is what I think the starting 11 will be. In defence, if Alistair Johnston is back from his little back injury that he had, and Alistair Johnston will be back this weekend, replacing Tony Ralston. Greg Taylor will be back into the team also, replacing the one and only Alex Valle, who, by all accounts, according to one of the Barcelona sites that I read last night, was fantastic. And it was funny because I read one of the comments this morning and said it was like a party political broadcast on behalf of Alex Valle from the Barcelona site, and it was unbelievable because they said that he'd done fantastic, and he did okay. He did okay for his first game in a new country and just being a young lad, but it was hardly what they made it out to be. Anyway, Austin Trusty will probably stay in the team as Celtic rest the one and only Cameron Carter-Vickers ahead of the big game. They will not risk Cameron Carter-Vickers at all. If there's any any chance of him playing on Tuesday. They'll keep him for Tuesday, and I think that Trusty will start in the team. So the back four will be Trusty, it'll be Liam Scales, it will be Greg Taylor, and it'll be the one and only Ali Johnston that I think will start the back. So you're going to go with a strong back four as possible. In the midfield, I'm going to go with Paolo Bernardo, Arne Engels, or will Bernardo start? Or will we keep him for the Champions League? That's a difficult one, because Rio Hatate is a massively important player, but will Brendan Rodgers go out with the full strength at the beginning of the team? So if that's the case, he's going to go with Rio Hatate, he's going to go with Arne Engels, and he's going to go with the one and only Callum McGregor as your midfield three. And then Paulo Bernardo will come on in the second half, and I expect also to come on in the second half against the one and only St Johnstone away this weekend will be young Luke McCowan, because he needs some game time. Having been cup tied for the game last weekend, he will need to get back onto the pitch. Brendan Rodgers will want to make sure that he does get some game time. Maybe he'll even start young Luke to rest one of the midfield players ahead of the Champions League game. Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments. But I do think that young Luke will be involved at some point this weekend. Then we go to the front three. Yes, I think that young Kyogo, he's not young, is he? He's 29. Kyogo will start in up front ahead of the one and only Adam Ida. I think Adam Ida will, even though he done fantastically well to score a couple of goals, I mean, nobody got past marks really the first half of the game last weekend, but he's had a week to sort himself out, and I think that Kyogo will be firing on all cylinders, and Kyogo will want to go out and prove that he's still got the goal scoring capabilities of a fantastic striker, and he's got points to prove and goals to score as far as Kyogo is concerned. And I think up front with Kyogo on the wing will be Dyson Maeda and Nico Kuhn, not James Forrest. I don't think that the manager will revert back to James Forrest, because I think he'll want to get Kuhn as much game time as possible, because I think Kuhn may be a starter in Germany. I think Nico Kuhn could be a starter in Germany, and he'll want to get Nico Kuhn on the first half if he can get another solid 60 minutes out of Nico Kuhn, just to build his fitness up even more, and then bring on James Forrest in the second half of the game this weekend. With the Champions League game in mind, I think Nico Kuhn will start the game this weekend just to get minutes in his leg, and then Nico Kuhn will also start in Germany. And it's the big decision is who will the manager start in Germany when it comes to wingers. Well, I think it's Kuhn and Dyson Maeda. But Germany can wait. Germany can wait until after the game tomorrow evening. Yes, it is a stupid o'clock kickoff time, just purely for Sky Television or whatever TV company is showing the game. But that is my team. Tell me, Valle and Trusty need minutes, says Mr. Quinn. CCV is going to have any luck for the Champions League games. Is CCV... this would be... How many seasons have we not had Cameron Carter-Vickers in the Champions League? Is that a worry? If you remember last season, Brendan Rodgers had a massive dilemma. We had... Cameron Carter-Vickers was missing for the majority of the Champions League. We want to try and make sure he's 100% fit. The issue with his big toe, and I'm not even going to say it. It's just Mr. Quinn asked me, and is Desmond on? If Desmond's not on, I'll wait till he's on, until we talk about it. But yeah, Kyogo is young baz compared to old farts like me and me. Yes, he's way young. He's really young. He is young, and that's a fact. Stuart, hello everyone. Hail from Sweden, says Andres. Good morning. It's still morning in Sweden. It's still morning here in Spain. Good morning to one of our newest subscribers up in Sweden. Give Andres an absolute massive welcome to the channel. What happened to Malmo last night? They're very poor, says Kieran. I said give him a welcome to the channel. Jesus. I'd be very worried if CCV isn't fit for Dortmund. It is only his big toe, but it is meant to be a muscle injury on his big toe. I'm not exactly sure. I'm sure Brendan Rodgers will tell everyone today does do the press conference today. I'm sure he will tell everyone today. He'll give us an exact update on all the injured players. And surely Luke will start. He's a tidy little player, says Jim. I don't think he'll start the game because of the importance to get the 3 points in the bag, first of all. I think Brendan will focus on getting the 3 points first and then getting as many of the players off, resting up as many of the players as we can. When it gets to the 60-minute mark away in Perth at the weekend, and you've got to remember, Perth's never an easy game. There's never a real easy game up in Perth, and they're down there fighting for their lives, and they're trying to prove a point to a new manager that's going to be coming into the club. Sometimes a wounded animal is the worst time to get them when a club is like that. I'm sure it's menstrual, Baz. Metatarsal. There's menstrual. What made me think of that? Oh, the conversations we've been having this morning. Andres, welcome to the channel, says Mr. Quinn. Stupid time for a game. It's on 2 a.m. where you are. I fall asleep at 9. I'm too old. It is a crazy time. But anyway, Malbone were absolutely pissed, as you say in Scotland. Embarrassed for our nation, says Andres. Very well played, sir. Very well played. Very well played. Oh, look at you, Uncle Stuart. Morning, says Mr. Quinn. Dodgy pitch as well, Baz. And it's not the best of pitch. I'm not going to blame anything on the pitch, because Celtic are of a quality that no matter what pitch that they play on, they should be able to turn on the style as they do. Menstrual, don't even ask about it. Anyway, what do you think the score predictions will be with that lineup? And remember, I am going for a very strong lineup. I think that James Forrest will come on in the second half. I think that Lewis Palmer, even though people have berated him and slated him for the comment he made on social media, I think he will get a run out the second half also, because Lewis Palmer needs legs. He needs leg time. He needs time on the pitch. James Forrest, he doesn't really need time on the pitch, but to maintain his fitness, I think he will be brought on in the second half also, just to rest up Dyson Maida and Nico Kuhn, who will be the certain starters for me in Dortmund. And Kyogo Furuhashi, hopefully he'll have a couple of goals in the first, one in the first half and one early into the second half, and that'll get him back up and running with his goal scoring exploits. And then he can come off for Adam Ida to get some more game time. And you know what Adam Ida's like coming off the bench. I did say, should Adam Ida maybe retain his place? I said that last week. But when you think the way that Brendan Rodgers thinks and how he wants to use the squad and how he wants to keep the squad as fresh as possible, but maintain the style and dynamics of the team, I think that Kyogo will start the game this weekend, even though that Big Adam is a powerhouse. Anyway, I am going to go for 4-0 Celtic. I'm going to go for 4-0 Celtic this weekend. I think that it's going to be another high-scoring game. We're steadily heading towards 20k. Yes, we are that. What are we on this morning? We're still on 19,043 subscribers. I'm getting there slowly but surely. It all takes time. But got to remember is we have won this cup 21 times, this one 42 times, that one 54 times. 55s are coming, and it's a coming fast. We're coming for your 55, and we're going to go to 56. Let's just face it. Just hand us the 56 just now, just to get it over and done with. We don't want to delay their misery. And also, we've won the big cup once. Also, let me just double check this. Oops, pressed the wrong button. Been on for 18 minutes. I'm only staying on for 20 minutes this morning. I couldn't be bothered recording the video. It's easier to just jump on the live and do the Celtic news. And the fantastic news last night is the fact that the Celtic women team joined the likes of Arsenal, joined the likes of Manchester City. Now, those teams spend way more money than what Celtic do on their women's team, but it was absolutely fantastic, and Celtic have created history again this season by not only having the men's team in the Champions League, but the women's team in the female version of the Champions League also. The prestige that comes with having both teams in the Champions League shows Celtic to be one of the bigger clubs in Europe. Yes, the Huns can say whatever they want, but when it comes down to it, you need to be in the big cup competition. Celtic women's team did it last night. Celtic women's team have just banked the club a little bit of money. They've just banked on 400 grand for getting themselves into, and that pays for the women's team for at least half a season, I would have thought. Not even that. It's probably just doing a disservice to the wages that the women's team are on. It was a 3-0 aggregate. It was 2-0 on the night. It was a couple of absolutely fantastic goals. The second goal was a peach. The lassie runs down the wing and crosses the ball, and I mean, Dyson Maida and Lewis Palmer should have a look at the crosses that came in from the female team last night, because they could maybe learn a thing or two. Although Dyson Maida is a fantastic person and a fantastic player, some of his final balls isn't sometimes, and that's why I think they should watch the game. The fact that Celtic did do it, playing at the Excelsior Stadium in Airdrie, the crowd was a bit of a disappointment for me. I think Celtic could have done more. When it gets to the money side of it, for a win in the Female Champions League, you get 50 grand. You get 17,000 for a draw, and there's other bonuses to be had as well. So 400 grand straight into the pockets of the club. No wonder Nicholson was sitting there last night. He was sitting there going, show me the money, show me the money. Yeah, that's it, show me the money. He's like that with their big swag bag walking out the stadium. Yep, here you go, Peter. Peter's sitting behind his desk like Scrooge, watching it pile up. The money's piling up. That's unbelievable at Celtic. Let's jump in and see what the scores are. 4-0 for me. They won't score. They will not score. I think that Celtic will go on this clean sheet with our clean sheet specialist. Yes, the one and only Casper Clean Sheet Schmeichel. Casper Clean Sheet Schmeichel. Kieran is going for 3-0. He said Celtic will score early and an easy 3-0 win. Spacey's going for 5-0. Porkchop Express says play Adam Ida and keep Kyogo fit for Dortmund. I think he'll play Kyogo for the start just to get his legs back up and running. Kyogo the first hour, then Ida, says Mr. Quinn. Stuart Ramsey, he's sticking with his 3-0 prediction for last night. I think we can get a draw in the next 2 Champions League games, or maybe better, says CFC 67. That is, if we get anything for the next 2 games, it will be absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. A lot of people are saying that Celtic could not play Dortmund at a better time, but that has to wait. We're not talking about that. We'll talk about that from Sunday onwards. Yes, we'll talk about it. In fact, we'll talk about it from Saturday night onwards, because on Saturday night I'll be on holiday, so I'm not be doing. I might do a wee quick video. No, I will. No, I'll be able to do a video Saturday night, will I? I need to go to the airport to pick up my mum. Anyway, other teams will learn from Falkirk's approach against us. Will they? Because a lot of teams will say, look, Falkirk end up getting beat 5-2. And it's all fine and dandy having a go at Celtic, but a lot of teams don't want to get humped like that. So in the SPFL, unfortunately, the teams are going to revert back to the anti-football defensive crap, low-lying block, call it whatever you want, and put a back 5 up and say, right, come on, Celtic, beat us. And Celtic go, right then, okay, we will. Fuck you. 4-0 Celtic, says Mad Mac. Stuart Ramsey says, well done the girls. Lorna Gallagher saying, well done the girls. Trying to get some more score lines. Paul Bair's in the house. Stephen Johnston is in the house also. Stuart Ramsey says, can you see clean sheet Schmeichel, but can it say metatarsal? Baz, what's going on? Clean sheet Schmeichel. Say that fast. Clean sheet Schmeichel. Clean sheet Schmeichel. Clean sheet Schmeichel. Clean sheet Schmeichel. Anyway, Baz, Stephen's in the house. Big Stephen Johnston is in the house. Big shout out to Stephen Johnston. He is one of the fantastic members of the channel, and apologies to the members, because I've not done a members only video. I have been trying to get the members. Remember, if you are a member, the videos that come out generally Monday to Friday are put out around about 15 to 20 minutes early as a member, so you can get to see those videos first. I will record a members only video tomorrow morning, maybe, or later this afternoon. I'll see what time I've got to get that done. Anyway, Mark says teams will be close to the bus for us for that exact reason. Yes, they will. In fact, a lot of the teams they'll put barricades around the Celtic bus to try and stop the players from coming off. They'll park the bus that much that they'll try and keep Celtic players on the bus. Anyway, Mark, thank you for your comment. They'll get pumped if they open up. Yes, they will do. Big shout out to Paul Bear. Big shout out to Mr. Quinn. Big shout out to Mr. Davison. Big shout out to Stephen Johnson. Big shout out to Lorna Gallagher. Big shout out to Joseph and Mr. Quinn, and I think that's all that is on from the members at the moment. If I've forgotten anyone, apologies. And on that note, have a fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world. I'll see you after the boss has done his interview this afternoon and told us what players are and are not